Ma'am, you need to come with us. We have concerns about your documentation status.
I was born in Detroit. I'm a licensed nurse. This is my hospital ID badge.
That can be verified at the station. Please place your hands behind your back.
You're detaining a U.S. citizen at her workplace. This is unlawful.
Icefield Agent Caleb Hargrove believed he was about to carry out a standard compliance stop. Nothing unusual, nothing complicated. Just another morning operation based on a tip that, in his experience, usually led to quick detentions and clean paperwork. The call had come in shortly after sunrise. Anonymous, no callback number. The caller claimed that several undocumented workers were employed at North Ridge Medical Center, allegedly using borrowed identities. No names were provided. No departments. No descriptions beyond vague insinuations. Under protocol, the information should have triggered verification requests, coordination with hospital administration, and a paper trail before any direct contact. Hargrove skipped all of that. He had been with ICE for 5 years, assigned to the Great Lakes Regional Unit, and had built a reputation as someone who trusted his instincts. His supervisors liked his numbers. Arrests were clean, reports were fast, and he didn't hesitate in the field. Complaints had surfaced before, 2 informal, 1 formal, all quietly dismissed as misunderstandings. To Hargrove, hesitation was weakness. By 8:42 a.m., he had assembled a 3-agent team. Each was required to activate body cameras before exiting their vehicles, a policy implemented after multiple public incidents years earlier. Chest-mounted lenses, wide-angle, high-resolution, designed for transparency. Designed, at least on paper, to protect everyone involved. None of them considered that those same cameras would later become the most damaging evidence of their careers. The plan was basic. Position near the staff parking area during shift turnover. Observe, identify, make contact. It was full daylight, early autumn, clear visibility, no weather interference. The kind of conditions Bodycam manufacturers brag about in training DMOS. At 8:57 a.m., the automatic doors slid open. A black woman in light blue scrubs stepped outside, rubbing her neck as if trying to ease the stiffness of a long shift. A white nurse's coat hung open. A hospital badge swung slightly from a lanyard against her chest. She looked exhausted, focused on getting to her car, not scanning, not rushing, not hiding. Her name was Alyssa Monroe. She was 35 years old, a licensed registered nurse born in Cleveland, Ohio, and had just finished a 12-hour overnight rotation in the emergency department. 3 critical intakes, 1 fatality. No breaks longer than 5 minutes. All she wanted was to go home. Hargrove noticed her immediately. Something in his posture shifted. A subtle signal his team had learned to recognize. All 4 body cameras angled in her direction almost in unison. Multiple perspectives, clean audio, sharp focus. From Hargrove's camera, the view was steady. Sunlight washed across the asphalt. Her badge was clearly visible. Her hands were empty except for a set of keys. From another angle, her face showed mild confusion as she noticed the agents approaching. From behind, the hospital lot continued to fill with arriving staff. Everything was recorded. "Ma'am," Hargrove called out, his voice firm, professional, practiced. The kind of tone designed to stop movement without raising alarm. Alyssa turned. "Yes," she replied, already uneasy. What Hargrove did next, what he didn't do more precisely, would set off a chain reaction that no one on that parking lot could have predicted. Because before verifying anything, before asking a single neutral question, before acknowledging the badge hanging inches from her chest, he had already made his decision. And the cameras were watching. Alyssa Monroe stopped a few feet from her car, keys clenched in her right hand. The sound of boots on asphalt had triggered something instinctive, the same alertness she used with agitated patients in triage. Stay calm, assess, don't escalate. The agents closed the distance, 2 in front, 1 slightly to her left, 1 behind, creating a loose semicircle. None of them touched her yet, but the formation was deliberate, textbook control. Hargrove spoke first. His bodycam captured the slight downward tilt of his head, the way his eyes moved over her scrubs, her face, her hair, searching for confirmation of a conclusion already formed. "Ma'am, we need to speak with you for a moment." Alyssa nodded slowly. "Okay, about what?" Another camera angle caught the flicker of concern crossing her face, not fear yet, confusion. "We're with Immigration and Customs Enforcement," Hargrove said. "We've received information regarding individuals working at this facility who may not have legal status. We need to verify your documentation." The words landed hard. All 4 microphones picked up her sharp inhale. "What?" she asked. "I'm a nurse, I work here." She lifted her badge instinctively, the laminated card catching the sunlight. "Name, photo, title, department, everything legible, everything real." "I was born in Ohio," she added. "I'm a U.S. citizen." One of the agents, Evan Cole, positioned to her right, shifted his weight. His camera angle wobbled slightly. He'd noticed the badge too, so had the others. Hargrove barely glanced at it. "This could be fraudulent," he said dismissively, his tone flat. "We'll need to verify at the facility." The moment was frozen across 4 lenses. Alyssa stared at him, disbelief replacing confusion. "Fraudulent? You didn't even look at it." Her voice was steady, but the cameras caught the tremor in her fingers. 12 hours in the ER had trained her to keep control even when adrenaline surged. "My driver's license is in my wallet," she continued. "It has my birth certificate information. You can call the hospital. My supervisor is inside." Hargrove took a step closer. From his camera, the frame tightened. Her face filled more of the screen. From behind, another camera captured 2 hospital employees slowing their walk, watching. "We're not doing this here," he said. "You can cooperate or we can escalate." "Escalate how?" Alyssa asked. "What exactly are you accusing me of?" Silence stretched for a second too long. There was no answer because there was no evidence, only assumption. Alyssa's chest rose and fell. "You have no warrant, no probable cause. I showed you my ID." Hargrove's jaw tightened. The bodycam caught it in sharp detail. "Ma'am," he said, voice lowering, "you need to come with us. We have reason to believe you're undocumented." Reason? The word echoed empty. Another agent, Laura Finch, glanced briefly at Cole. The exchange was subtle but clear on both cameras. Something was wrong. Everyone felt it. No one challenged it. "You're arresting me?" Alyssa asked. "At my workplace." Hargrove reached for his cuffs. The metallic click was loud, final. Preserved in high-definition audio from 4 separate devices. "This is illegal," Alyssa said, her voice cracking for the first time. "You're detaining an American citizen." Hargrove didn't respond. He only gestured, "Turn around." "Hands behind your back." Around them, the parking lot had gone quiet, and every second of it was being recorded. Alyssa stood still for half a second too long. Every instinct in her body screamed that this was wrong, not just unfair, but dangerous. She knew the stories. She'd treated patients who came in shaken after encounters with law enforcement. She understood how quickly a situation could spiral when authority met resistance, especially for people who looked like her. So she moved slowly, deliberately. Both cameras on her left captured her turning, her shoulders stiff, her jaw clenched so tight the muscles stood out under her skin. From Hargrove's bodycam, her back filled the frame as she placed her hands behind her, fingers interlacing the way she'd been trained during hospital safety drills. No sudden movements, no arguments, the cuffs closed. The sound, sharp metal on metal, echoed across all 4 recordings. "Those are tight," Alyssa said immediately, her voice strained but controlled. Hargrove tested them anyway, pulling once hard, her body jerked forward. The cameras caught it from every angle. "They're fine," he replied. Red marks were already forming on her wrists, clearly visible in the bright daylight. No shadows, no ambiguity. A small crowd had begun to form. 2 nurses near the entrance stopped walking. A respiratory therapist froze mid-step. Someone across the lot lifted a phone, hesitated, then started recording. From Cole's bodycam, the scene widened, witnesses everywhere, all in full view. "This is a mistake," Alyssa said again, louder now. "You can confirm everything with 1 call." No response. Hargrove guided her forward with a hand on her upper arm, not enough to bruise, but enough to assert control. Finch walked slightly ahead. Cole trailed behind, his camera capturing the growing tension, the uneasy glances exchanged between hospital staff. From another angle, a security camera mounted on a light pole loomed overhead, watching silently. But it was the bodycams, close, intimate, unforgiving, that documented every detail. "Hey," a voice called out. All 4 cameras pivoted. A man in a white coat hurried toward them from the entrance, his badge swinging. Dr. Aaron Patel, attending physician. He stopped short when he saw the cuffs. "What's going on?" he demanded. "They think I'm undocumented," Alyssa said, her voice breaking despite her effort to hold it together. "I told them I'm a citizen." Patel looked from her wrists to Hargrove, disbelief etched across his face. "She works here, she's one of our nurses." "Sir, step back," Finch said, raising a hand. Her camera recorded the gesture, firm but rehearsed. "This is federal business." "Federal business?" Patel shot back. "You're arresting hospital staff in the parking lot with no warrant." Cole's camera captured him shifting again, uncomfortable. He knew this looked bad, worse with witnesses. Worse with cameras rolling. Hargrove didn't slow down. "Watch your step," he said flatly, steering Alyssa toward a white transport van parked near the far edge of the lot. The walk felt endless. From one camera, Alyssa's profile showed tears pooling but not yet falling. From another, the crowd grew, half a dozen staff now watching openly, some filming, some frozen in disbelief. The van door opened. "Watch your head," Hargrove said, pushing down slightly as she stepped inside. The interior swallowed the light for a moment before her face was illuminated again by the small side window. Cole's camera caught it, fear, anger, humiliation, all colliding at once. The door slammed shut. Outside, the cameras kept rolling. And inside the van, Alyssa sat alone, cuffed, breathing hard, realizing this was no longer a misunderstanding. It was a detention. By the time the van rolled out of North Ridge Medical Center, the parking lot was still behind them, full daylight, phones raised, witnesses staring. And inside the transport, Alyssa Monroe finally understood the real risk. Once a system decides you don't belong, facts become optional. Before we go further, if you're watching this for the first time, hit subscribe and like. These stories only matter if people actually see them. Alyssa sat on a metal bench seat, hands cuffed behind her back, shoulders tight to keep the chain from biting. The small window beside her let in a strip of pale autumn sun, enough to show the red rings forming around her wrists. She breathed in measured counts, the same way she coached panic patients in triage, slow, controlled, predictable. Up front, only 2 agents were visible in the Bodycam footage, Caleb Hargrove driving, Evan Cole in the passenger seat. Their Axon-style overlays showed the steady HUD, the timestamp, the faint mic hiss. The other 2 agents from the team weren't in the vehicle, they'd stayed back at the hospital perimeter. Still, their cameras were running too. 4 separate recordings, too close, too wide. Cole kept glancing at the rearview mirror. On his camera, the reflection caught Alyssa's eyes for a split second, wide, wet, furious. He looked away immediately. "You okay back there?" Hargrove asked, not kind, not cruel, just transactional. "No," Alyssa replied, "I'm in cuffs for no reason." Silence, road noise, a turn signal click. "We'll verify it at the field office," Hargrove said. "If you're clean, you'll walk." "If I'm clean," Alyssa repeated, voice rising. "I'm a nurse, I have an active license, I have a badge, you ignored it." Cole's shoulders shifted. On his bodycam, you could see his right hand hover near the radio, then stop. He didn't want this on tape as a debate. He wanted it to be routine. The drive took just under half an hour. Suburban streets to an industrial corridor, then a concrete building with fencing and cameras that never blinked. When the van stopped, daylight still poured across the lot, perfect visibility, perfect optics. Alyssa was escorted inside, not dragged, not shoved, but guided with the kind of force that says you don't get choices. Her cuffs were removed at intake, and the marks were impossible to miss under the fluorescent lighting. A processing officer, nameplate reading M. Alvarez, asked the basics. Name, date of birth, place of birth, social security number. Alyssa answered without hesitation. Alvarez typed, paused, looked up. "You said you were born in Cleveland?" "Yes," Alyssa said. "I told them that at the hospital." Alvarez ran the query again, slower this time. The monitor glow lit his face. Then his expression changed, small at first, then unmistakable. "You're in the system," he said, voice flattening. "U.S. birth record, valid SSN, no holds, no warrants. And you have an active state RN license." Behind him, Hargrove's bodycam captured a tight inhale. Cole's camera caught his eyes drop to the floor. Alyssa leaned forward. "So why am I here?" Alvarez didn't answer her. He looked straight at Hargrove. "Agent, on what basis was this detention initiated?" The question hung in the air like a siren that hadn't started yet. Hargrove didn't have a real answer, only a tip, a hunch, and a decision made in a sunny parking lot. The processing officer didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to, the screen did it for him. Alyssa Monroe was a U.S. citizen, verified in seconds, right there under harsh fluorescent light. The kind of verification Hargrove could have done in the parking lot with one phone call. Before we continue, drop a quick like and subscribe if you want more real-world accountability stories. The next minutes are where the whole operation starts to crack. Officer Alvarez printed a short intake sheet and slid it across the counter. "This confirms identity and status. She's not subject to removal proceedings." Cole swallowed. On his bodycam, his throat bobbed like he was trying to choke down the obvious. Finch stood near the doorway, arms folded. Hargrove stared at the paper as if it might change its mind. "Run it again," he said. Alvarez didn't argue. He typed, waited, then turned the monitor slightly so there was no room for interpretation. Same result. Alyssa's voice stayed steady, but the anger underneath it was sharp. "So you cuffed me in front of my coworkers because you had a feeling?" Hargrove's jaw flexed. "We had a tip." "A tip with no names," Alyssa snapped back. "No descriptions, nothing, you chose me." The room went quiet enough that the bodycam mics picked up the air handler. Silence is where juries hear the truth. Alvarez cleared his throat. "Ma'am, you're entitled to a phone call. I can get you to a line." Alyssa nodded once. Alone in a small room with a metal desk and a phone bolted to it, her composure finally slipped. She dialed her mother first. "Mom," she said, voice breaking, "I'm at an ICE office. They grabbed me at the hospital." Her mother's shock came through the receiver loud enough to leak into the mic. Alyssa forced herself to speak clean, like she was giving report at shift change. Location, situation, what she'd already told them. Then she called her cousin, Tanya Monroe, a paralegal at a civil rights firm. Tanya didn't ask for drama, just facts and timestamps. "Do not answer more questions," Tanya said. "Tell them you want counsel. I'm calling an attorney right now." When Alyssa walked back into the intake area, Finch avoided eye contact. Cole looked like he wanted to say something, then didn't. Hargrove asked Alvarez for supervisor review, buying time like time could fix the legal hole they'd dug. It didn't. A supervisor arrived, Director Leland Price, mid-40s, suit jacket over a tactical belt. His expression was neutral until he saw the verification printout and the cuff marks on Alyssa's wrists. Then the neutral face cracked. "Agent Hargrove," Price said, controlled, "why was she detained without preliminary verification?" Hargrove tried to keep it corporate. "Field discretion, operational tempo, reasonable suspicion based on," Price cut him off. "Based on what exactly? Say it clearly on camera." No one spoke. The body cams kept rolling. Price looked at Alyssa. "Ma'am, you will be released. I'm documenting this as a wrongful detention pending review." Alyssa didn't thank him. She shouldn't have to. Outside that building, Tanya had already escalated. She requested preservation of every recording. All body cams, all metadata, every second from activation to shutdown. Because once footage exists, someone tries to misplace it. By the time Alyssa Monroe stepped outside, it was still daylight. The sky had that early fall clarity, too bright for excuses, too clean for we didn't see. Her scrubs were wrinkled, her badge crooked, and the red rings around her wrists looked like a stamp she never asked for. Director Price tried to regain control of the narrative. On Finch's bodycam, you can see him angle his shoulders toward the agents, lowering his voice like that would lower the risk. "No one discusses this outside the chain. All media inquiries go to counsel." "Understood." Hargrove nodded too quickly, Cole nodded too slowly. The difference mattered. Alyssa walked to the curb where Tanya had arrived, breathless, phone in hand, eyes already scanning for damage. Tanya wasn't emotional, she was operational. "Are you injured?" she asked. "My wrists," Alyssa said, "and my head, not physically, just I can't stop replaying it." Tanya's expression hardened. "That's called trauma. We document everything." They didn't leave quietly, not because Alyssa wanted attention, but because the parking lot had already produced it. Someone had posted a short clip online, grainy phone video of a nurse in cuffs near a hospital sign. No names, no context, but enough to light a fuse. By the next morning, the clip had jumped platforms. People filled in the blanks the way the internet always does. Some guessed wrong, some guessed right. What no one could ignore was the visual. Federal agents in tactical gear detaining a nurse at her workplace. And Tanya had the one thing that turns outrage into accountability: leverage. She filed a preservation letter the same day, specific, aggressive, time-stamped. All bodycam footage, all audio, all GPS logs, all activation records, all policy acknowledgments for that unit. Any internal messages referencing the tip. Any communications about parking lot operation planning. Because in civil rights cases, the cover-up isn't a side plot. It's usually the main one. 2 days later, attorney Graham Sutter took the case. Mid-50s, calm voice, sharp eyes. He didn't promise justice. He promised process. He met Alyssa at her apartment with a legal pad and a recorder. "Start from the automatic doors," he said. "Don't summarize. Give me the timeline like you chart a patient." Alyssa did every detail, the tone of Hargrove's voice, the way he didn't look at her badge, the metal click. Dr. Patel's reaction, the van door closing, the intake desk. Alvarez's face when the system confirmed she was a citizen. Sutter listened without interrupting. Then he asked the question that mattered most. "Did any of them tell you why they chose you?" Alyssa laughed once, short, bitter. "No, just a tip and reason to believe." Sutter wrote one line and underlined it twice: selective enforcement. 3 weeks later, the formal claim went out to the federal government. Not a social media rant, not a press release. A structured complaint with citations: unlawful detention, violation of Fourth Amendment protections, equal protection issues, emotional distress, reputational damage, workplace harm. The government responded the way it usually does first: minimize. A settlement offer arrived quickly, a number designed to make a problem disappear. Sutter rejected it. The next offer was higher, rejected again. Because Alyssa didn't just want money. She wanted a system-level correction, written policy changes, bodycam retention guarantees, and a verification protocol that couldn't be skipped on someone's instincts. Meanwhile, inside the Great Lakes unit, the mood shifted. On Cole's bodycam, captured in a later internal review, you can see him seated in a small room, hands clasped, being asked a simple question. "Agent Cole, did you believe Miss Monroe was undocumented when she showed her badge and stated her birthplace?" Cole hesitated. That hesitation on video was the beginning of the end. The review process moved slower than the internet but faster than ICE expected. Internal Affairs pulled the footage first. Not clips, not highlights, everything, 4 bodycams, continuous recording, metadata intact, no gaps. No malfunctions, no ambiguity. The kind of evidence agencies fear because it doesn't argue, it shows. Caleb Hargrove was interviewed twice. The first time he stayed on script, operational discretion, anonymous tip. Field judgment. The second time they played the footage back frame by frame. Pause, rewind, zoom. They stopped on the moment Alyssa lifted her badge. "Did you read it?" the investigator asked. Hargrove said nothing. They moved to the cuffs. "Did you verify citizenship before restraint?" "No." They moved to intake. "You were informed she was a U.S. citizen within minutes. Why wasn't she released immediately?" Silence. Cole was interviewed next. His footage mattered more than he realized. Not because of what he said, but because of what his face showed. Discomfort, doubt, awareness on camera in real time. That's what broke the good faith mistake argument. The lawsuit was filed 6 weeks after the arrest. Alyssa Monroe v. United States Department of Homeland Security. Named defendants included Hargrove and supervisory personnel. Claims were precise, constitutional. Documented, the government tried to settle quietly. Sutter declined. Discovery was brutal. Training records showed Hargrove had completed bias awareness modules. Policy memos explicitly required pre-detention verification when no exigent circumstances existed. The anonymous tip logged flagged as low reliability. No follow-up conducted. At trial, the jury didn't need speeches. They watched the footage, 4 screens, same moment, same daylight, same badge, same cuffs. They heard Alyssa say, "I'm a citizen." They heard Hargrove say, "We'll sort it out later." Later cost money. The verdict came back unanimous. Compensatory damages for emotional distress and lost wages. Punitive damages for reckless disregard of constitutional rights. Policy-mandated reforms written directly into the settlement. Total payout, 8 figures. Hargrove was terminated within hours of the judgment. No press conference, no send-off. His badge was collected, his name removed from the unit roster. Cole resigned 3 months later. ICE issued a revised directive requiring documented verification before any workplace detention absent a warrant or imminent threat. Bodycam retention minimums were extended, training protocols rewritten. Quietly, carefully. Alyssa returned to nursing not at North Ridge. She couldn't, the parking lot still triggered her. Instead, she transferred to a smaller facility and used part of the settlement to fund legal intake hours for people who couldn't afford a lawyer but knew something was wrong. She never asked to be a symbol, but the footage made her one. Because when authority is recorded from multiple angles, excuses collapse. And when assumptions replace law, cameras don't look away. 4 body cams, 1 parking lot, 1 decision made too fast. If you believe verification should come before handcuffs, subscribe and stay with us. The next story starts where this system still fails.